off he goes to 18th century Germany.
This is
You
different.
can't find Beethoven anywhere. No one's heard of him. This is called the bootstrap paradox.
Ah.
Google it.
And
You can't bear the thought of a world without the music of Beethoven.
then
Luckily, he brought all of his Beethoven sheet music for Ludwig to sign. So he copies out all the concertos and the symphonies, and he gets them published.
under the name
Becomes Beethoven. Who put those notes and phrases together?
in the first place.
Who really composed Beethoven's Fifth?
They thought it was important to bring up the concept of the bootstrap paradox. That should make this really quite interesting.
Somehow doubt that Rose or Martha or Amy lost their breakfast on the first trip.
You seem to know an awful lot about me.
Yeah.
I used to be in military intelligence. So pre-Harold Saxon, pre the Minister of War, pre the moon exploding, the big bat coming out.
The Minister of War?
Yeah.
No. Never
Don't tell
mind.
me.
I expect I'll find out soon enough.
It's bigger on the inside, it's bigger on the inside, it's bigger on the inside. How can it be bigger on the inside, Ben?
Oh, please don't die. Get it out of your system. Understandable. I'd be the same. There it is. The chamber included.
And there are no markings on the wall.
Not yet.
Greetings!
It's him,
Oh.
it's the ghost from the drum.
Oh my god, it's him. Oh, he's
And humans too.
from the God Complex. He's one of those.
Someone died.
You big man.
It's you.
There's more to it. There's more to it. He doesn't know that yet though, right?
I have to die. Oh, well, I've had a good innings.
Ah.
This regeneration, it's a bit of a clerical error anyway.
Oh.
Gotta go sometime.
Not with me! Die with whoever comes after me. You do not leave me!
Whoa. Wow.
We all have to face death eventually, be it ours or someone else's.
Face the music.
I'm not ready yet. You owe me. You've made yourself essential to me. You've given me something else to be. And you can't do that and then die. It's not fair. I don't care about your rules or your bloody survivor's guilt. If you love me in any way, you'll come back.
Interesting. Interesting perspective there. Okay, there you go. He's been infected, essentially. My god.
Such an honor. I've always been a huge admirer. This is really a delight. Finally, someone worth talking to.
He's saying the chamber will open tonight.
Sooner or later, they might lose connection, though. Huh? Interesting.
Maybe the doctor's right. Maybe it's best if you stay here.
Never gonna happen, seriously. Have you two met me?
I'm surprised. I thought you'd be down for it. Ah. It was an attempt as well. Let's have a look. I saw a glimpse of it. The silhouette. Oh, this should be nice. It's actually just like the God Complex. A lot of similarities. It's the same writer, right? Oh.
You shouldn't have come. I mean, you never listen to anyone. It drives me mad.
I had to keep an eye on you. Idiot. So don't die.
She did punch him in the first episode as well, right? Usually a sign of affection.
That list your ghost was saying, that's the order in which people are going to die, isn't it? I mean, I've only just figured that out. But you knew that all along, didn't you?
Clara.
Yeah. Yeah, except now you're going to do something about it, aren't you? Yeah, because it's getting closer to you. You change history to save yourself, but not to save her, Donald.
Oh. Ooh.
Save her.
This isn't about saving me. I'm a dead man walking. I'm changing history to save Clara.
Wow. Hey, stop that. Come and get it. Come and get it.
I'm gonna go back to the base and I'm gonna save Clara because that's what I do. And I don't see anyone here who's gonna stop me.
There's one.
No.
What?
Whoa.
We've moved half an hour backwards.
Oh.
I'm locked. we don't have that right.
It's tough. It's tough. Especially for a newcomer to all of this. I think he might break.
You'd be home by now.
Oh, that smile.
Who was the one person who didn't see the writing in the spaceship?
Me. Casper let me go inside.
Ah.
That's why the ghost didn't hurt you when they had the chance, because the message isn't inside you. So you can get the phone back.
Oh. It's still scary though.
She's saying I should go.
She's
get
not gonna
the
let him
phone
go.
back. Okay.
Okay, I think this is more of a romantic thing, yeah. Oh. Ooh.
What did she say?
It doesn't matter. She said to ask you whether traveling with the Doctor changed you, or were you always happy to put other people's lives at risk?
He taught me to do what has to be done.
Look at this. This is the Doctor. Another Doctor over here, essentially.
He'll be fine. I promise.
She just said piss off.
Didn't need anyone to translate that.
Ooh.
Tell me what you have seen.
Ghosts.
Ghosts? How many?
4 that I know of, maybe 5.
Is the Doctor about to get into the chamber?
Probably more since I left.
I love the contrasting color grading here, right? Life, the warm skin tone colors, and then the gray of the fallen.
And you will do nothing to stop it.
Oh. Oh,
Lord.
God.
What are you doing?
I feel like she's about to deck Clara.
It's gonna be fine, I promise. We have to stay here. I know that look. I do that look.
Still slavishly protecting time. Willing to die rather than change a word of the future.
They split up.
Cass.
Oh, man.
Idiot. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, she can't hear you. This should be interesting. If the sound design is from her perspective, it is. Actually, no, she could pick up on.
You will be a strong beacon. How many ghosts can I make of you?
You violated something more important than time. You
Life.
bent the rules of life and death. So I am putting things straight.
Oh, God. Look at this dude. Oh, yes, the score. The photography, though. Great tracking shot.
This is security protocol 712.
It's a Doctor inside of
The
the
echelon circuit
chamber.
is activated. Please stow any hand luggage and prepare for departure.
Enter the Doctor. Yeah.
Don't kiss me. Morning breath.
Doctor?
Nice.
What do I do now?
I don't understand.
I do.
Go on, Clara.
You keep going. What would O'Donnell have wanted?
Tell her that you're in love with her and that you always have been.
What?
There's no point in wasting time, because things happen and then it's too late.
Time is precious.
Tell her I wish someone had given me that advice.
Oh God. I was just passing on what he said. Please, don't.
Go on. There you go.
They were for me. That list. Everyone after you was random, but you being the next name, that's what made me confront the Fisher King.
And saying the chamber will open.
That was me telling me to get inside and when to set it for.
Smart.
I programmed my ghost to say them because that's what my ghost had said. And the only reason that I created my ghost hologram in the first place was because I saw it here. I was reverse engineering the narrative.
When did I first have those ideas, Clara?
Well, it must have been.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who composed Beethoven's Fifth?
Love that. He's too cool, man. Too cool. Okay, so the conclusion to the two-parter. Yeah, I'd say it's a satisfying conclusion. It is. Of course, the exciting concept of the bootstrap paradox is center stage. Though, of course, it's almost essentially bookended, isn't it? I'd actually go as far as saying that this two-parter could be a contender for one of the best introductory Doctor Who stories for newcomers. Yeah, as I'm thinking about it, it just feels like you could show this to anyone, really, right? And then, of course, the fourth wall breaking, the incredible opening, right? That was facilitated by the pitch perfect Peter Capaldi, and then, of course, some beautiful bit of directing as well. Because that really could have been quite clunky, right? And the fact that it's actually in there is still really quite surprising to me. But it's effective. It is effective. But, my initial point, the fact that it is included, right? That in itself also kind of plays into my point, I think. They kind of wanted to make sure that they lead with the concept of the bootstrap paradox, right? In this case, the Beethoven conundrum, right? And of course, perfect lead into the intro. Now, I'm not sure if that's the new intro or is it just like a one-time thing, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Of course, our rock star doctor at it again. But yeah, I liked it. I really enjoyed that opening. Peter Capaldi, center stage, doing his thing. You cannot take your eyes off of him. He's so good. He's so good, right? And the last time I got something similar, it was in Listen, right? The opening, I believe. Yeah, it was the opening of Listen. Similar feeling here as well. It immediately pulled me right in. Now, beyond that, the reasoning for actually including this, it could be interesting to actually learn about the reasoning behind it, because I'm sure there might be more of a practical reason for that as well. Maybe through some testing or perhaps past experiences with these types of stories, they felt that maybe the audience was a little bit confused, or certain segments of the audience are not able to grasp the concept, or I don't know, an episode wasn't really received as they hoped it would be, because there might have been a bit of confusion. So maybe that's one of the reasons they made the choice to include this. Of course, even if I do like it, there is this element of being spoon-fed as well. And then, of course, there's a repeat of it in the conclusion as well, right? Him kind of going through the process, explaining this time to Clara. First time it was for us, the audience, right? Though, of course, a lot of us know the concept of a bootstrap paradox, but, there's a lot of audience members that might need that reminder, that might need a bit of a breakdown of the concept, right? But I thought it was just a fantastic slice of science fiction. And I really do believe it's one of the best, stories to bring to a newcomer. I've taken like a mental note. There's a few episodes. And the thing is, another one is really quite similar, or uses a similar concept, the bootstrap paradox. Blink, yet another one and done standalone episode that you can show to anyone. So the doctor sent the list of those names in that order because that's how he saw it. That's how he saw it on the phone, right? That conversation that kind of happened. And he said as much, didn't he? I programmed my ghost to say those names in that order because that's what my ghost had said. And I love that last bit of fourth wall breaking once again, right? Looks to the camera, a little shrug. Listen, man, I don't think every single doctor can pull that off. And then also, I've got to say, the production side of things is just on point. It's on lockdown from all angles, right? Makeup, costume design, production design, or set design, the visual effects, really quite impressive. Again, the photography, the color grading, everything just kind of came together. And this is just really possibly the best. It's the best Doctor Who has looked. And of course, it makes sense, right? It's the most recent, for me at least, as of this point, at the point of recording. So yeah, it's been a phenomenal ride and experience to see it just level up year after year, series after series, and kind of have its own unique look as well, have its own unique identity as well. Capaldi's era has a distinct tone to it in comparison to Matt Smith, to Tennant, and even Eccleston's era, right? I mean, perhaps Eccleston's era is a little bit dated in that sense, right? Maybe even some of the early Tennant episodes. But here, this is Doctor Who up to speed, right? The standards, again, the production standards are just on par with perhaps anything else that was coming out at that point. Of course, not every single episode can be of this standard. But yeah, this is really impressive stuff, isn't it? Sound design. Yes. Sound design is just top notch. One of the standout moments being Cass, right? Being stalked by the late captain or commander of their crew. And, once again, there's that notion of a companion who could have been, right? O'Donnell. That could have been a great companion. Though, perhaps there's something to be said about a fanboy or a fangirl becoming a companion. Though it could be a cool concept, because up until this point, all the companions had no idea, right, about the Doctor. And of course, that's by design, because if they knew about the Doctor, if Rose knew about the Doctor, it's just not going to function as a reboot, as a soft reboot. But now that it's got years under its belt, the reboot or the soft reboot, I think something like O'Donnell as a companion could be quite effective. I mean, it could have been, right? She died, and that in itself is quite an interesting segment of this episode, because there's a fantastic scene here. Bennett calling out the Doctor, and I've got to say, great credit to the actor playing Bennett. I really like the guest appearance cast. I did. But yeah, Bennett, Bennett taps into a bit of rage at that point, right? Because he just freshly lost O'Donnell. And I think he's rightfully calling out the Doctor for his token attempt at trying to save Bennett. But ultimately, it's more of a glorified experiment from Bennett's perspective. It's essentially the clinching proof that the Doctor needs, right? This is Bennett's insinuation, right? But again, I think that is the case, isn't it? The Doctor kind of did need to see it play out in that manner, right? Perhaps, but listen, after that heated exchange happens, though it's more of a one-sided dressing down, you see once Bennett gets out of there, the Doctor looked really quite crestfallen, didn't he? It affected him, right? It's not as if he was indifferent to O'Donnell dying, right? There's this subtle moment. There's a bit of grief there. And speaking of grief, I think, yeah, Clara's not really completely out of that stage. There's still a bit of grief there because of her recent loss, or the recent loss of Danny Pink. And then, of course, later on, she is the one who's able to really immediately understand how Bennett is feeling at the moment, right? And then, there you still kind of get to see a bit of that disconnect, because Bennett posed that question, what do I do now? Of course, the Doctor didn't quite understand, but almost at Rose, Clara immediately understood, right? She understood that notion of just losing everything all of a sudden. Though, of course, he actually didn't even know up until recently, that O'Donnell was actually into him, cared for him in that manner. And, he's really quite sad about that, that he wasn't able to pick up on that. And now he kind of regrets that. He regrets that he wasn't more assertive, right? Of course, he wishes he could go back. He could go back and, live it out in a different manner. And for that reason, he's almost immediately on the front foot and tells, you'll have to excuse me, I can't remember the name, the translator for Cass, tells him, or implores him to tell her that he has feelings for her. I really like that touch. I thought it was really quite impactful coming from Bennett specifically. I mean, listen, sure, you could argue that Clara's self-centered side is certainly on full display at moments in this episode, as she really lets the doctor know that, no, you're not allowed to die. You can't die. Do the dying or save the dying for whoever comes after me, right? You don't die with me. You owe me, right? You facilitated this change. You gave me something to do or something to be, right? And like I mentioned, she has no tether to her Earth life anymore. This is Clara, or her existence at this point, right? And for that reason, potentially losing the doctor is just impossible. The thought of that is impossible to Clara. But of course, I think there's a poignant line of dialogue there through the doctor, that they do have to face the idea of death, be it your own or someone else's. You have to be open to it. That sooner or later, you are going to face it. So I that resonated in the sense that it felt important, right? Could be important in this series, throughout this series, perhaps at some point in this series. I felt that there's actually a few really intriguing things sprinkled throughout this episode in terms of long-term setup even, right? The Minister of War, that was the one that really stands out as well, right? The doctor, you see his ears perked up as well, for sure. But then he tells her, no, it's okay. I'll find out soon enough. It's almost as if it's telling us, the audience, as well, hold on. You'll know. You'll find out soon enough. So yeah, that promises to be quite the exciting revelation, hopefully at some point in this series as well, right? So if it's a Minister of War, of course, it's of a nation, right? There's a few possibilities. And of course, one of them that's kind of been set up for some time now as well, right? The potential return of Gallifrey, his home. That's certainly one of the possibilities. But there's really something quite interesting at play here with the character of Clara, for sure. It's just so unique, and it's so, I don't want to say jarring, but it's different. It's really unique and different to see such a coldly calculated companion as Clara is in this episode. And she gets called out for it, doesn't she? Cass is having a go at her, and then some, right? You see that Cass is expecting a bit more of a compassionate approach from a fellow human. Maybe the implication there is that, okay, the doctor is an alien, he's not quite human, and it's understandable perhaps, or to be expected that maybe his approach might be a little bit cold, right? But now seeing some of that approach in Clara, a human essentially, it's off-putting to Cass, right? And clearly Cass has noted the similarities. She's noticed those similarities in the first episode, in the first part, I think. And for that reason, she really felt the need to ask this question, right? Is this your nature? Or did you become this way because of traveling with the doctor? Now listen, of course, it's clear as day that it's affected her. It has affected her. Now I'm not saying that the doctor changed her per se, but she adapted. She adapted to this lifestyle. It's quite the contrast, isn't it? It's quite the dramatic shift, actually, if you go back and compare it to an episode like The Orient Express, The Mummy on the Orient Express. There, there's quite a comparable situation, right? The doctor is asking Clara to bring that lady out, right, from the luggage cart or cabin or car. I think I got it on the third try. But, it was that situation of lamb to slaughter, and Clara was not having it, right? She's feeling really quite guilty about kind of using her in that manner, kind of leading her on. And then she was furious to find out that the doctor was using her in that manner, right? Able to put someone's life at risk. Look at her now, right? It's the opposite. She's able to execute the same type of plan. Let me talk about the Fisher King. At first, I accidentally called him the Fissure King. Brain fart moment. But yeah, the Fisher King. Unique, really quite unique. I think I really appreciated the Fisher King in the shadows, looming in the shadows. I mean, my goodness. The photography down below in that basement, the lighting, the shadows it was throwing up. My God, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But then I kind of get to see it in full daylight, right? Sure, again, it's a subjective thing, but it loses a bit of its luster to see it in complete daylight in that manner, right? I mean, the design itself, yeah, it's perhaps one of the more scary alien monster designs in Doctor Who, recently at least. Usually there is a bit of quirky, goofy factor to a lot of these alien designs. But this one is just downright creepy and, just, difficult to look at. But yeah, I really enjoyed the exchanges down in the basement. My God. The voice. Wow. So impactful, isn't it? So engaging. It actually reminds me of the Satan from Satan's Pit. Remember? Tennant, or the 10th Doctor, and the creature. Well, not the physical creature, but yeah, the being speaking. It kind of reminded me of that. But the presence, though, of that voice. Yeah, really cool, really cool. But, speaking of the Fisher King stepping outside, that crane shot, my God, and then transitioning into like the tracking shot inside of the ship itself. And of course, he was deceived quite easily. The Time Lord lied. Come on, dummy, don't you know the Doctor lies? And finally, another line of dialogue that stood out to me in the exchange is, "You're just one man, lost in time." I don't know, that just, it was impactful. To me, it was. And I spoke of the Doctor being crestfallen. The first time he hears about his ghost actually showing up, that reaction, oh man, that was the Doctor crestfallen for a moment. And then he kind of gathers himself and he accepts it, right? And then he jokes about it. But for a split moment, or for a few moments actually, yeah, it hit him. You see the dread, it just hit him really hard. This is it, isn't it? But then of course, he snaps out of it and they go about trying to figure out how this played out. But yeah, I've got to say, enjoyable two-parter. And I think this has a lot of rewatchability, doesn't it? It's on my list of episodes to check out, or two-parters to check out really soon, hopefully, But yeah, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in timer-based full length, or perhaps early access to the next few episodes right now, consider checking out the Patreon page, links in the description and the pinned comment. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. Time is precious, it really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Till then, take it easy.